Hi everyone. It works, awesome. Okay, so being a subject of a presentation feels a bit weird, I must admit, but I think we're going to make it. Yeah, so you can see everything relevant about me on slides right now. And as you can see, I am a little bit old. So I'm actually a person who was one of those girls back at school who were told to go have cooking classes while the boys are supposed to have the computer classes. And I mean, look where it got me. So cooking classes may rock as well. It's a nice opportunity sometimes, but computer classes may make some sense as well. So the place I was born is second biggest city in Belarus, Gomel, great place, 100 kilometers away from Chernobyl. So we blame Chernobyl for everything there. Bad hair day, Chernobyl. Not enough mushrooms in the forest, Chernobyl. Kids do not behave, obviously, Chernobyl. So I was done with my school by the age of 15 because I tend to become unbearable when I'm bored. And they decided they are done with me and allowed me to skip classes. And I had something to do in summer, so I decided to go and be unbearable in a library. And what they did there at this moment in time in 1998 was what now on LinkedIn we call a digital transformation. In fact, it was 5 old computers donated to us by some lovely people from overseas. And people were supposed to start learning computers. And I learned a little bit, and then I learned enough to become an IT girl, which is essentially someone who switches monitors back on when people get confused by them switched off. And that was a very nice way to get into IT back in 1998. I kind of did it for quite a while. I did it in the university, even though I studied philology, which has not much to do with any kind of IT. It still was working for me pretty well until the famous Belarusian election happened. And that was the first wave of migration outside of the country by people who were not so fond of their election results. So I left the country at the age of 20, and somehow I started getting more and more opportunities in IT despite never checking all the boxes. My whole career journey essentially is about not checking the boxes. I mean, we probably all have this experience of looking at the LinkedIn job ad and thinking, oh my God, I don't have this certificate. I do not speak the language well enough. I haven't had 20 years of experience in this technology. I probably should skip this one. So me never skipping this one worked kind of quite well, because the first big serious job I was offered in IT was about being a quality assurance engineer, and I had no idea what did it mean at that moment in time, but I figured out I could possibly navigate it somehow. And I thought, okay, I'm absolutely terrified of my first working day to no end, but probably I should just do it and see how it goes. And honestly, it works perfectly well as a career journey. Do it, see how it goes. So the next slide is going to be about where I ended up right now and what people like me even do. So I'm a deputy CISO in a bank, which is a pretty fancy position, to be honest. CISO is a Chief Information Security Officer, and what you see on screen right now is a very, very fancy definitions of this position from the official documents from Europe. But as a matter of fact, what we do a little bit of everything. So there is no such thing as a typical CISO day, because one day you're talking about the escrow agreement in some kind of new tier 1 application. The other day you're talking about the cloud setup. And the other day you're talking about a guy who decided to upload some documents to his personal OneDrive for no reason at all. So it's everything and anything. And you can talk to the European authorities in Brussels and then switch straight to the Estonian authorities. And it's a very entertaining and a very diverse position, as a matter of fact. So the main qualification for this position is essentially to be somewhat ready for everything. And it may not even be the information security at the end of the day. because information security is, in fact, a very, very broad thing. And you can never say what is 100% information security and what is not. So if we are talking about pure, clean, and clear information security, it's essentially about three things: availability, confidentiality, integrity. What does it mean? Imagine you have the most precious thing in the world. You are in love and you have the only photo of your loved one. And you want to keep it safe, obviously, for yourself. And the most natural approach seems to put it into the most durable metal box, lock it in every single possible way, and store it as far away as it gets. Right. But you want to look at the photo every once in a while. And that's availability. You need to make sure, if you feel like looking at the photo and crying, it's still available. Now, confidentiality. You may not want everyone in the world to know about your deep secret love. And that means you do not want everyone to look at the photo together with you. So you lock it. Very understandable. And integrity is the funniest one for a bank. That's something that keeps every information security person in the financial industry up at night. Because integrity is when one day you open your box and you want to look at the photo, and instead of the photo there is a chestnut. The photo is gone. Or maybe it's a photo of Britney Spears. Also fun, but not exactly of similar kind. You need to make sure that whatever you put in the box still stays the same. So that's essentially integrity. If I pay for my beer and it costs 3 euros, I want it to be still 3 euros and I want it to go to the seller. I don't want it to become 300 euros and go somewhere else. And quite a lot of people, this is essentially the information you will find as a first slide of every single information security training. Availability, confidentiality, integrity. Very nice. But if you start talking to the information security professionals about what information security is fundamentally about, they will probably say that it's about risk assessments. And the higher you climb from the actual firewall tuning, the more it becomes about risk assessments. Now, the thing about risk assessments is that it's information security, financial technologies, and everything in the world. It's the fundamental thing in life. When you decide to cross the street on the red light, that's the risk assessment. When you decide to marry someone, the risk assessment, a big one. When you decide to do anything in life, the first natural step you do is a risk assessment. And the risk assessment is a thing that contradicts the fundamental principle of the human nature, as a matter of fact. Because as humans, we cope with life and the other humans by lying quite a lot. We lie to ourselves, we lie to the other people. Everyone knows it. People don't like to admit that. It happens. But risk assessments are trying to make sure we do not lie to ourselves too much. And that kind of contradicts this idea of coping with life by lying to ourselves. And this is something I would probably try to emphasize talking about information security, career journeys, life, anything in the world. Because risk assessment essentially is 4 very, very, very simple steps. But it helps you to understand what is important and what can go wrong. And if you are ready to accept the fact that something can go wrong. So if we are talking about the career options and risk assessments, imagine you're offered a new job. This new job has better salaries than the one you have right now. The company is somewhat better. The position is a little bit more limited. The manager is much more nice. The logistics is much more favorable. And you kind of have a million other factors to consider. What you need is a big, massive risk assessment. And it may happen that the very first idea you have about this position you are offered is, oh my God, I want a brilliant career and I want a perfect LinkedIn profile. And this job looks less fancy than the one I have right now, right? But at the same time, what you need to do at this moment in time is stop and try to lie to yourself as little as it gets. Because it may happen that while this is the most logical first thought about your job change, it may not be so relevant for you. It may not be the most important thing for you. Maybe you're just scared to explain it to everyone around you. Like, oh my God, I was a senior someone and now I am a general someone. Not sounds fun. Maybe it's a very different thing that you are looking for in a job. And maybe your LinkedIn profile doesn't have to look as straightforward as it gets. Maybe it's okay to consider other things. And then you are very welcome to go and lie to the other people and say that I decided that this expertise is going to enrich me so much, and that's why I took the job. But try not to do it to yourself, not at least too much. Because quite a lot of lies are big social lies that are the foundation of big social mechanisms. And this is unfortunately a part of women gender socialization. We often tell ourselves we can't do things because we are women. We often tell ourselves good things at the same time. We are more compassionate because we are women. Sometimes it doesn't take a woman not to be an asshole. So just try to catch yourself every single time when you repeat something society tells you. Catch yourself every single time when some thought seems too straightforward and too obvious, and ask yourself if you are lying to yourself right now. And you do not have to admit it again. It's not necessarily that you need to confess it to the whole world. You still can keep your loved one photo in the secret box, locked in every single way, and only look at it once a year to cry. It's fine. But when you're making a decision, your own decision, deep down there inside, try to catch yourself on those lies as much as it gets and try to stop yourself. That's it.